What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most explosive situations to hit Memphis in years. The relationship between Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta has completely fallen apart, and what we're seeing unfold right now might be even more dangerous than anyone expected. This isn't just another rap beef or social media drama. This is about loyalty, betrayal, and the deadly consequences that come when brothers turn into enemies. Let me take you back to where this all started, because to understand what's happening today, you need to know the history. Blac Youngsta and Yo Gotti were supposed to be brothers. For life, they came up together, rode together, and Youngsta has stood on business for Gotti during the entire Young Dolph situation. When the streets were hot and tensions were at their highest, Youngsta went extra hard, showing the kind of loyalty that's supposed to mean everything in this game. He wasn't just supporting from the sidelines, he was front and center, making it clear where he stood, even when things got dangerous. But fast forward to today, and everything has changed. The bond that once seemed unbreakable is now shattered, and fans across the country are trying to figure out what went wrong. A few days ago, people started noticing something strange. Blac Youngsta completely wiped CMG from his social media bio and claimed he was now independent. At first, some fans laughed it off because he'd actually pulled this same move last year right before Gotti's birthday, only to show up at the party like nothing ever happened. But this time feels different. The vibe is cold, the silence from Gotti's side speaks volumes, and the energy between these two has completely shifted. The chaos really started when Youngsta dropped some wild posts online that had everyone doing double takes. He wrote something that shook people up, talking about taking away everything that came out your mama, swearing to God and mentioning that all his brothers are dead, so why not take the house down. That post alone had people guessing what was really going on. But then he doubled down with another one. And this one hit even closer to home. He called out people who see before but still mislead the youth like they're mob bosses. He said he was sick of these dudes and was going to lead by example, blaming fake OGs, fake CEOs, and fake big brothers. Fans instantly caught the shade. That sounded like it was aimed straight at Yo Gotti, who built his entire CMG brand on that mob boss image, even comparing himself to the real John Gotti in interviews and songs. But Youngsta seems completely fed up with what he's calling fake mob energy, and it sounds like he's ready to expose what's really been happening behind CMG's closed doors. Then came another cryptic message that turned the internet completely upside down. Youngsta said don't ask him about any dude you don't see him with, because he doesn't allow anybody he doesn't respect around him. That line hit like a gunshot because it came on the same day he scrubbed all traces of CMG from his profile. Right after that, he followed up with something even more telling. He said 90% of the people you see him with is just business, that most of his real ones are dead and gone, and that he doesn't make new friends. That sealed it for fans. Everyone started blowing up his comments, demanding answers, trying to figure out what could have possibly gone so wrong between two guys who once stood shoulder to shoulder against the world. Now the question on everyone's mind is what actually caused this fallout? Is it about money? Is it about fame? Or is it something way deeper, something darker that only insiders really know about? One of the biggest theories circulating right now points straight back to the Young Dolph case, the tragedy that's haunted Memphis for years. On August 21, 2025, Hernandez Gavin, the man prosecutors called the mastermind behind Dolph's murder, was found not guilty on both counts. That verdict completely flipped the situation upside down, and fans believe it might have been the final push that made Youngsta walk away from CMG for good. Let me break down what happened in that courtroom, because it's crucial to understanding everything. Prosecutors had claimed that Gavin was the middleman, the one who allegedly linked Big Juke, who was Yo Gotti's own brother, to a $100,000 hit on Young Dolph, plus even more alleged bounties on Paper Route Empire members. It was a serious accusation that had everyone in the industry looking sideways at CMG. But then came a major twist that changed everything. Big Juke was killed in January 2024. His death didn't just shake the streets, it completely shattered the prosecution's entire case. Without him there to testify or be cross-examined, the chain of evidence between Gotti, Gavin, and the alleged hit fell apart, leaving prosecutors with nothing solid to stand on. And just like that, Gavin walked free, turning the entire case on its head. After that verdict dropped, fans started connecting dots that maybe they'd been afraid to connect before. They believed Gavin's acquittal freed up more than just one man. It freed the truth. With that heavy legal pressure finally gone, Blac Youngsta might have felt like he could finally move how he really wanted to. No more pretending. No more acting loyal to something that didn't sit right with him anymore. The question haunting everyone's mind right now is dangerous. Who really ordered the hit on young Dolph? The internet is exploding with theories and the streets are louder than ever. But there's another angle to the story that people are pushing hard. Some fans think the split could have started because of Blac Youngsta's non-stop disrespect toward Dolph even after his death. Rumor is that Gotti wasn't happy about it one bit, especially since people close to him were already being tied to the case. Every time Youngsta mocked Dolph publicly, the CMG name got dragged right back into that dark spotlight. So maybe this whole situation isn't about betrayal at all. Maybe it's about self-preservation. Because in Memphis, when street politics and music mix together, loyalty can turn deadly fast. And right now it feels like Blac Youngsta just stepped away before the storm could hit again. It's looking really bad for Gotti and the whole CMG label at this moment. The streets aren't quiet. People are replaying everything, tracing it all the way back to the start of that ugly Dolph versus Gotti beef. And if you rewind the tape far enough, you'll see it clear as day. While Gotti kept things somewhat subtle and moved more strategically, Blac Youngsta went full-blown savage. He wasn't holding anything back. He said straight up that Dolph was soft, that he was nice, that if there was a problem, there was a problem, and that Dolph wasn't the king of Memphis, wasn't the king of anything, wasn't even from South Memphis. That kind of talk made major headlines back then and it was wild at the time. But now it's coming back to haunt everyone involved in a major way. When Dolph saw those clips, he didn't even blink. He just dropped a laughing emoji and a thumbs down like he couldn't care less. He was cool and completely unbothered while the internet lost its collective mind. But Blac Youngsta wasn't laughing. He really meant every word he said. He actually pulled up to Dolph's own neighborhood, riding through Castalia fully strapped and surrounded by his crew, moving heavy like he was on some kind of mission. It was bold, it was reckless, and it was incredibly dangerous. The streets still talk about that day like it was straight out of a war movie. When that video went viral, Dolph fired right back on Instagram, calling out both Blac Youngsta and Gotti. He said they were moving like cops, trying to bait him into a setup instead of handling things face-to-face in the streets like real men. But that didn't slow Youngsta down for even a second. He just doubled down on his disrespect. He dropped 2 diss tracks aimed directly at young Dolph, and the timing of what happened next couldn't have been any colder. Right after Dolph was killed, Youngsta hit the stage in Dallas performing one of those diss tracks like absolutely nothing had happened. Fans went absolutely crazy online, calling it the most disrespectful thing they'd ever witnessed in hip-hop. Instead of apologizing or cooling off after the backlash, he went even further. He filmed a music video in an actual graveyard standing right in front of a tombstone marked with Thornton, which was Dolph's real last name. That moment broke the internet completely. People were in total shock that he would take things that far so soon after Dolph's death. The backlash was instant and absolutely brutal. Even some CMG supporters said it crossed every possible line you could imagine. But Blac Youngsta didn't care one bit. He jumped back on Instagram saying he was from South Memphis where you don't get sympathy, and that he didn't care what the world thought about him. That cold response hit hard and made the streets look at him completely different. A lot of fans called it hurtless, especially since Dolph wasn't just another rapper. He was a Memphis legend, loved across the entire South and far beyond, but in Youngsta's mind he was just being real, standing on what he believed in, representing where he came from. Still, that energy burned bridges everywhere, and it might be exactly what's fueling the fallout between him and Gotti that we're seeing play out today. Now with all this tension building up, people are starting to wonder if things between Blac Youngsta and Gotti could actually turn violent. Some fans say it's not impossible, and honestly, looking at the history, you can understand why they're worried. Even Youngsta himself admitted in old interviews that he and Gotti clashed all the time behind the scenes. Gotti would tell him he moved too wild, too reckless, while Gotti preferred to play chess instead of rolling dice. Looking at how things are going right now, maybe Gotti was right all along. Youngsta has that reckless fire burning inside him, and Gotti has street power combined with a sharp business brain. But when two strong forces stop seeing eye to eye, the streets know that something is bound to blow eventually. If they don't find a way to fix this situation, it could easily turn from tension into tragedy. And that's not all people are worried about. There are whispers getting louder about what might come next. Some people are even saying that Blac Youngsta might start talking, like really talking. You know what that means in the streets? Once the common enemy is gone, crews usually start turning on themselves from the inside, and in this story, that enemy was young Dolph. Now with Dolph gone, it's like that same curse is circling back around, tearing through CMG piece by piece. Things got really ugly in the courtroom when Cornelius Smith, one of the alleged shooters, flipped on everybody involved. He told prosecutors straight up that it was him and Justin Johnson in that infamous surveillance footage, and then he dropped a bomb that shook everything. He claimed Big Jook, Yo Gotti's own brother, was the one who put that $100,000 bounty on young Dolph's head. That statement sent absolute shockwaves through Memphis and the entire hip-hop community. That's where Hernandez Govan entered the picture in a major way. According to Smith's testimony, Govan was the real shot caller, the middleman between the streets and CMG, the one who allegedly moved in complete silence while connecting all the dots behind the scenes. But when it came time to face the defense attorneys, they absolutely tore Cornelius Smith apart on the stand. They called him a pathological liar, saying he was just trying to save himself by pointing fingers in every possible direction. And their strategy worked. That line of attack helped Govan walk out of that courtroom completely free, totally flipping the case upside down. Fans couldn't believe what they were witnessing. One minute Govan was supposedly the mastermind behind everything, and the next minute he was walking out those courthouse doors like nothing had ever happened. With Govan acquitted, the entire case started to crumble. The state's theory on who ordered the hit collapsed completely, leaving a massive hole in the narrative. Now, even people who once called each other brother are starting to side-eye one another with suspicion. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife, and fans are absolutely furious, saying Govan's release makes no sense when so many people in Memphis still believe he played a huge role behind the scenes. For those who might have forgotten, this wasn't even the first time someone tried to kill young Dolph. Way back in 2017 during CI weekend in Charlotte, Dolph's SUV got absolutely lit up with over 100 bullets in broad daylight right near the arena, surrounded by crowds and cameras everywhere. It looked like an actual war zone with shell casings scattered all over the street and multiple cars riddled with bullet holes. The wild part is that Dolph had already gotten his SUV bulletproof before the attack even went down, like he somehow knew something was coming, like he could feel the setup brewing in the air. After that shooting, police picked up 3 men including Blac Youngsta. They got hit with serious charges ranging from firing into occupied property to conspiracy. The news lit up headlines everywhere, and people were whispering about whether Youngsta had finally gone too far. But when reporters asked Dolph about it directly, he didn't flinch even slightly. No fear, no hesitation, just pure confidence radiating from him. He said he wasn't worried because he knew his purpose was way bigger than any bullets. He even threw a message right back at his haters, saying, "You kill your haters with success." And that's exactly what he did. Eventually, all charges against Blac Youngsta were dropped. The court papers showed the only connection he had to shooting was a rental car in his name, but there was no actual proof he was driving it or even inside it when those bullets started flying. Still, that didn't erase the dark cloud hanging over him. The tension never really left after that. Just months after surviving Charlotte, young Dolph faced yet another attempt on his life, this time all the way out in Hollywood. It went down outside the Loews Hotel right in the valet area in front of cameras. Hotel staff, everybody, reports say a fight broke out. Dolph got knocked to the ground and then multiple shots rang out. He was hit badly and rushed into surgery, but somehow, against all odds, he survived again. After that Hollywood shooting, LAPD officially named Yo Gotti as a person of interest. That headline alone sent the entire industry into complete chaos. But just like before, the case eventually fell apart. Charges didn't stick, and Gotti's name got cleared again. But the damage was already done in the court of public opinion. Fans couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. Every single time something violent happened to Dolph, Gotti's name somehow came up in whispers. It was like the streets were trying to tell a story that nobody wanted to say out loud. Then came the most heartbreaking chapter of them all, the one Memphis still hasn't healed from. The murder of young Dolph happened in broad daylight right in his hometown, the city he loved more than anything else. Dolph pulled up to Makeda's Homemade Cookies, a local black-owned business he'd supported for years. He was literally just there to grab treats for his mother. That's when two gunmen ambushed him outside the shop, opening fire before jumping into a getaway car. The attack was caught on surveillance cameras, and just like that, Memphis lost one of its most respected voices. Now here we are today, watching CMG fall apart from the inside. Blac Youngsta is officially out, making posts about fake loyalty and fake brothers. The streets are divided, tensions are at an all-time high, and nobody knows what's going to happen next. Is this deadly story finally ending, or is it just getting started? One thing is absolutely certain. This Memphis saga has turned into something way bigger than music. It's about loyalty, betrayal, power, and survival in a city where fame can literally get you killed. The curse that started with young Dolph seems to be spreading, taking down everyone connected to it one by one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.